intro. Hey guys, and welcome to my world. So yes, I have seen Mother now. I've also seen American Assassin. Don't know which review's going to be up first, but I felt like this is the one. I'm shooting this one first. I'm shooting Mother first because I felt like, even though I saw American Assassin first, I felt like I needed to talk about Mother more. So yes, I've seen Mother, the new Jennifer Lawrence horror film that I will say. So the first thing I actually want to address is this movie is very, very diverse. Now, at my screening, after the film ended, I was sat there and I was trying to take it all in. A lot of people were walking out saying, worst movie ever, hated it, all this sort of stuff. And to quote Hazzahmatron, he was like, fuck that movie. And there's me sat at the back of the screen just like, don't listen to him, Paul. Take it all in. Breathe. So yes, for me though, when leaving the cinema, I was very quiet. I was trying to just take it all in. I didn't really know how I felt. Now I know I didn't hate the movie. Leaving the cinema, I did not hate the movie, but I didn't know if I liked it. Now, it's been a day since I've seen it, and having that day to think about it really helped. Now, I don't love the movie, but I did like it. I don't think it's a bad movie by all means. It is a very, very ambiguous movie, and as much as it is ambiguous, I think I really like the movie because of my own interpretation of it, the experience it gave me as a movie, which I will talk later on about. Now, I am going to give you my quick review on the positives, the negatives I had with the movie. Then we're going to talk in detail about the movie and my own interpretation. Now, it's a very ambiguous movie, so there is going to be a lot of spoiler talk in this. This is your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie, then go see the movie if you want to see the movie, and then come back and watch this. If you don't care about spoilers, stick around and maybe give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. But yes, it's a very metaphorical, ambiguous movie. Now, Hazzahmatron did tell me this movie is basically a metaphor. He watches reviews before seeing the movie. He doesn't really care about spoilers, stuff like that, whereas I stay away from him until I've done my own movie review, and then I'll watch everyone else's thoughts, so that way I don't have expectations or I don't feel like I'm getting their experience put onto me. So I don't really watch movie reviews until I've done my own, until I've seen the movie. So Hazzahmatron did inform me with a slip of the tongue that this movie is a metaphor. So I was just like, ooh, could it be a metaphor that she's actually dead? Because I saw the trailers, yeah. I saw the trailers. Now, the trailers hugely missold this movie. I thought this movie was going to basically be about Javier Bardem doing some occult shit, trying to impregnate her, like, I want to bring life into this house, trying to do devil worship or something along those lines, where he's doing some paranormal shit to get her pregnant or something like that. That's what the trailer made it look like to me. That's how I took the trailer. So I was expecting some occult horror thing. It is not that at all. I wouldn't even say it was a horror, to be fair. It's more thrilling. I wouldn't say it was a horror film, and the trailers I felt hugely missold this movie which is why I think it's getting a lot of negative feelings towards it. And people aren't appreciating it in the way that I think the director meant it. Now it is getting positive praise as well. So it's a very mixed bag. Like I said, this is an ambiguous movie. That is everyone's gonna have a completely different experience with it. Now my experience I will explain. But I have heard, like Hazzahmatron said to me, it is a metaphor, and the biggest metaphor going around is that everyone is taking it that it is a metaphor for God, Mother Earth, and humanity. So basically the metaphor is that Javier Bardem is God, he's the poet, he's God, he's the creator. Jennifer Lawrence is Mother Nature. The house is Earth, she's created it, and God is inviting all these outside people, all the external people are humanity. They symbolize humanity. That is how a lot of people have taken this movie. That is the metaphor going around on the internet right now. That I don't know whether the director has come out and said that is what he meant. I don't know if it's been confirmed that that is the actual meaning to this movie, but that is not the metaphor I got from this movie. I got a completely different experience with this movie, which I will explain in my interpretation. So today, guys, you are going to get a spoiler review as well as something different, my interpretation of this movie. So I don't really do this. I don't really, I'll give my thoughts and stuff, but I don't really go in depth in spoilers, stuff like that. So this is going to be a weird experience for me, but I felt like this is a movie that I can't talk about without spoiling it. So again, if you haven't seen the movie, go away, see the movie, and then come back and see this. If you have seen the movie or you don't care about spoilers, then, well, are you ready, guys? Let's get into it. So firstly, let's talk about the things I really liked in this movie, the positives, the good things in this movie. Now, this movie is very well made. It's very well shot. It's got this sort of dark underlying tone to it. And it's shot very, very well. Like the imagery is really good. The acting in this is very, very good. Javier Bardem's great. Jennifer Lawrence is great. I mean, like, she doesn't feel like she's phoning it in, like with with when she was playing Mystique. She felt very phoned in that. But this, she actually goes. I think she gave a really good performance. She was the best part in it, by far, acting-wise. I really liked Ed Harris in this movie as well. Michelle Pfeiffer was alright, but the acting, for the most part, was very, very good. Now, those positives put aside, my biggest positive with this movie is the sound. The sound effects, the sound in the way it was used, the usage of the sound was amazing. It was flawless. I loved it. You could hear every creak in the house. You could hear every breath. You could hear every moan, every whisper. It was utilized so well. I loved the sound usage in this movie. It really made for it added to the experience of the movie, and it made for this very, very tense atmosphere at times. That I felt it really just it uplifted this movie. It just, the sound transcended. It was used so well, and for that, the sound effects get the biggest positive. They really do. Now, other positives, like I said, the imagery was great, and this film doesn't shy away. It doesn't hold back, guys. It really doesn't. Okay, so the opening to this movie is very graphic. It's the opening shot is Jennifer Lawrence being burned alive. Okay, so you can see the skin peeling, the flesh. It's very, very graphic. Okay, but it does not. That opening scene does not prepare you for the brutal imagery that is to come. Okay, so yeah, if you haven't seen the movie and you're here because you don't mind spoilers, if you don't like things to do with babies, this movie is not for you. I'm telling you that for a fact, because this movie is brutal, okay? The imagery you get, some of the graphic scenes, it's brutal. So they don't shy away from that, okay? Wow. Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal, okay? Another positive I had is this movie does this sort of good thing with its tension. Now, it kept its tension all the way through. I never, personally for me, I don't know how everyone else felt, but I never felt like there was a moment to breathe. I was so invested in this movie that I just felt tense the whole way through. Now, it does this sort of good thing with the tension that it keeps you sort of confused. It keeps you guessing. It makes you feel uncomfortable. You don't know where this movie is heading. So for me, I felt very uncomfortable, very tense, and very confused. And in that aspect, it makes you relate and really connect with Jennifer Lawrence's character, because that's what she's meant to be feeling. She is feeling very uncomfortable, very, very confused at what is going on in her life right now, around her, what is going on around her, that it makes you relate to her as an audience, or it did for me anyways, and I felt very, very tense. So that again is another positive I have to give this movie. It connected me to its main character, and it kept me tense and uncomfortable throughout the whole film. It was great. So those are my positives said and done. Let's get into my negatives, the things I didn't like about this movie. Now, the biggest thing for me is the timing. Now, this movie is, I'm pretty sure, around the 2-hour mark. It might be a little less, so don't hold me to it. But boy, does it feel its time. It really does. I will say, saying that it felt its time, I never felt bored, or I never once felt the movie was boring me. I was wholeheartedly invested and intrigued in where the movie was going. But it definitely was a long film, and it felt longer than it was, and I think that's because this movie tried to be very clever, and by the end of the movie, it was very, very long-winded, with its whole ambiguous sort of metaphorical way, that it did make the movie very long-winded and feel very, very long. Now, another negative I have to do with this movie is basically not the movie itself. It's to do with the marketing, the trailers. Now, like I said earlier, the trailers really missold this movie. They showed it, like, I took it like it was going to be an occult thing, like this weird occult baby ritual thing. That's how I took the trailer. And it's not that at all. It really sold it as a horror movie, and I don't know why, but it was not that at all. That is not what you get with this movie. So for me, that is a huge negative, because that can really hurt a film, specifically when a film is good, because this is not a bad film, but a lot of people are going to go in with an expectation from what the trailers show you. So for that aspect, it is a huge negative, because it can wholeheartedly affect the movie as a whole. So that for me is another negative. Now, the only other negative I have is to do with the movie, but it's more of a personal gripe I had. It's to do with Jennifer Lawrence's character. Now, her character, I felt, was a bit incoherent. She was very standoffish at some points, and then she'd flip back to being this very passive, sort of being walked all over character, which I didn't really like. It felt very incoherent, and for me, I didn't like that. It felt like it was bad writing at times. But then I thought about it, and with the way I interpreted the movie, it kind of made sense, because that's how you can be in a relationship sometimes. So that, for me, it wasn't a negative, it was just more of a personal gripe, but I can understand and look at it, using my interpretation, I can look at it not as a negative, but for me, it did feel very incoherent at times. So those are my positives and negatives said and done. Those are the things I like, the things I dislike, but let's get into real spoiler territory now. Let's get into my interpretation. Now, like I said, basically this movie is just a whole metaphor. It is basically, it symbolizes something, and for everyone, it's a very ambiguous movie. Everyone, I think, is going to experience something completely different. People are going to interpret it the way they interpret it, how it affected them, their whole experience. So, even though we had that sort of God, Mother Earth metaphor that is going around the internet that a lot of people are seeing it as, that was not mine. I never once even thought of that, okay? So I had my experience, my interpretation, and then I tried thinking about all the other things that it could be interpreted as. And I was just like, I was trying to think of all the other ways people could think of it as. And I came up with things like, is this a metaphor for a family going through divorce? Something like that. Was it a metaphor for a woman's love creating and making a home? Was it a metaphor for losing a baby? Or was it simply a metaphor for a woman wanting the diddly? Because at one point in this movie, Jennifer Lawrence is gagging for the diddly. Yeah, it's probably not that metaphor. I'm trying to make this light-hearted because we are getting into some dark stuff. We're going to get into some dark stuff, so I'm trying to make this as light-hearted as possible, guys. Fucking diddly. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of people are going to take this a completely different way. You've got that Mother Earth metaphor, but for me, I saw it as something different. So my interpretation, I don't know whether the director has come out and stated that the Mother Earth one is what it is, and that's the route he was going. But my interpretation is my interpretation. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying that is what the film means, I'm just saying this is how I took it, okay? So, you might see it the same way, you might see it differently to me. Let me know your interpretation down in the comment section below, but what I'm about to give to you, the reasons why, they're just how I've taken the movie and my experience. So let's get in to my interpretation of Mother! Oh, wait, I've got to add in an impression in. What's his name? What's his name? Mother, is that yo? Mother. No, I can't do it. My interpretation, let's get into it. So the way I took this movie is that it is a metaphor for a relationship coming to an end in a very bitter way. It was basically a metaphor for a relationship that is not going to last, a relationship that is doomed from the start. That's how I took this movie. So for me, Javier Bardem's character and Jennifer Lawrence's character, they played either side of the relationship, the two parts, the two sides to the relationship's coin. That's how I took this movie. So for me, everything that I saw, everything that I experienced visually was just representations of situations or emotions being felt or outcomes that you had or consequences that came in a relationship. That's how I took this movie. Now, that is way off from the God, the humanity, the Mother Earth and Mother Nature, that metaphor. It is completely way off. Like I said, I didn't feel that way at all. I felt, for me, I took it very, maybe it's because of my life experiences. I don't know, but here are my reasons why I took it the way I did. So, firstly, let's start with the opening to this movie. This movie ends exactly where it started, okay? So this movie opens up with Jennifer Lawrence's character burning alive, okay? She has set herself on fire. And Javier Bardem doesn't want to let go of her. He doesn't want to let go of her love. And I felt this was a very great representation of a relationship again being doomed from the start. It was, for me, it represented a person sort of burning themselves up, trying to give someone something, or trying to give someone their love, and just hurting themselves in the end. And someone not wanting to lose that love now that it's come to an end. So for me, it was just a representation of a doomed relationship, if you will, and someone not wanting to move on and someone reaching the point of moving on, both at different speeds. Yeah, it just felt like Jennifer Lawrence's character was ready to let go. Javier Bardem's just wasn't. That's how I took this movie. So that's the first reason. being that the movie ends exactly where it starts, in the same way. Now, reason 2, this movie hugely emphasizes on Jennifer Lawrence feeling alone or unloved. She's constantly left alone in the movie. She is always by herself, and even when she is with someone, you can tell she feels singled out, or she feels alone, she feels unloved, she feels lonely. She's constantly facing things by herself. I mean, this movie shows you Javier Bardem either always working or always being committed to something else other than her. So for me, I took this as a symbol of how in a relationship you can sort of end up feeling lonely even though you're not lonely, and when that happens, it can sort of just fall apart, because you can get relationships where someone's focused on work because they want to achieve their personal goals, and it sort of affects the relationship that way. Or you get people that are committed to friends more than the relationship, or committed to family issues more in a relationship, or they're committed to they just want to go out and have fun, and they don't want the sort of commitment side to it. Stuff like that. So for me, it was a huge symbol of one part of the relationship just feeling very secluded, even though they weren't alone. So reason 3 that I took the movie the way I did, the way I interpret it, is basically, at one point in this movie, Michelle Pfeiffer's character is talking to Jennifer Lawrence, and it comes up in conversation that Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, even though they're married, they're not having sex. I don't know why, because she is mighty fine in this movie. Like, even Harry turned to me in the cinema. He's like, yeah, you might even see some boob. But I don't know why he's not. But they're not. They're not having sex. So yeah. So, and she sort of hints that there's 2 reasons, or she says to Jennifer Lawrence, there's 2 reasons why a guy doesn't have sex with his partner. And she hints at the second reason being adultery or cheating. That's how I took it anyways. And so basically for me, that sort of symbolized rumors in a relationship, or external people get involved in a relationship. So even though a relationship feels like it's got its problems, people from outside that relationship, their own experiences can affect yours in completely dramatic ways. So even though he might not have been committing adultery or something, he might have just been focusing on his work like it showed in this movie. But to have someone say, yeah, he could be cheating on you, bam, that's affected the relationship immediately, because that is now in Jennifer Lawrence's head. Okay, so for me, that symbolized how external people or rumors from outside the relationship can affect, because it can cause arguments, it can lead to problems down the line, it can even make someone end a relationship, or considering that Jennifer Lawrence already feels unloved, and like Javier Bardem isn't there for her, that rumor could even spark her to be like, oh, he's cheating, I'm going to go cheat too, which sort of plays into that sort of classic, like, oh yeah, he's cheating, I'll cheat. But it also played into something you get later on in the movie. You see Jennifer Lawrence she gets beaten physically and verbally. Okay, she's being physically abused and verbally abused. She is being punched, kicked, called whore. She is getting called all these other vile names, which I will not repeat, because there is one word that a lot of people hate, and she gets called it. And for me, I just took that as a representation of the backlash of maybe Jennifer Lawrence's choices that she made when hearing rumors, or something along those lines. Maybe she did cheat, maybe she didn't. But her being called whore, all this sort of stuff, maybe she was like, hey, he's cheating, and she went and found love somewhere else. And that is why the relationship is now doomed. So there's a lot of ways to look at it, but for me, all of that, I don't know why it would be in the movie if it was this God, Mother Earth sort of thing. So for me, in my head, to make sense of all of that, it was like, yeah, rumors spark stuff in a relationship that can make it end. So that's how I took the whole Michelle Pfeiffer character. She was the rumors, the stuff like that, the external things going on outside of the relationship that affects a relationship and dooms it from the start. That's how I took it anyways. Now, talking of external things, reason 4, there is a very graphic scene with a riot in the house, okay? It is a brutal scene. You've got police rage. You've got freaking a cult. Well, eating a baby. Yeah, there's a lot of graphic, brutal stuff in this movie, okay? There's a lot of wacky, weird stuff going on that I don't think actually happened. It's all just representations in either Jennifer Lawrence's or Javier Bardem's head, how they're interpreting their relationship. Stuff like that. So it's very metaphorical, but there is one scene with the police raiding the house, the riot going on in the house, all these fighting, just crazy, chaotic shit going down. And for me, I took that as a metaphor of just how chaotic a relationship can be or end up being, with outside problems, with, I don't know, a family or family issues coming into play, death, all that sort of stuff, which plays out in the movie because you've got Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Harris have a death in their family, they've got family issues going on. So for me, specifically with Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer, I took them as a symbol as Javier Bardem, because he was always getting involved and trying to help them. I took that as a symbol that he is very committed to his family. He's got a lot of family issues. There is even a scene where Jennifer Lawrence is waking up alone, and she sort of reaches over and he's not there, and she goes looking for him and he's downstairs with Ed Harris. Even though in the movie they're not shown to be family, for me, I think this just symbolises that he is very committed to other things, maybe family issues, stuff like that, and not to their relationship. So it's sort of just, it just adds up. I mean, like, even if you look at it that way, that she's waking up alone, that could just add fuel to the whole adultery thing. To be fair, she could be like, oh, where is he? He's off with another woman, stuff like that. But I really did feel like it wanted to sort of emphasise, this scene particularly, how messy, how chaotic a relationship can end up being when you let all these external factors, all these outside people, all these outside problems that shouldn't affect your relationship but can. For me, that's how I took it. All these external things can affect your relationship if you let them get inside. The house being their relationship, where their home is. Letting it come in can just hugely affect you. So for me, that's how I took it. And it just, all these scenes, no matter how wacky they were, overwhelmed them in the end, and a lot of things became involved. So for me, that's how I took this. I took it as a very symbolic way of showing how chaotic it can be. Now, reason 5 comes at the end, and that's to do with Javier Bardem, again, not wanting to accept what has happened. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence ends up just burning herself alive. She burns down the whole house, okay? She basically just cuts all ties with everything that has been shown in this movie. So for me, that symbolised Jennifer Lawrence getting to the point where she was like, I no longer want to be in this relationship. She's cutting ties with the family situations, the chaotic rumours, the things trying to get involved. She's cutting ties with all that negativity, and she ends up cutting ties with the relationship. By burning herself alive, she's burnt herself up, trying to give to this relationship that's clearly not working. So she's ended it. She's moved on. She's got to that point. Whereas Javier Bardem isn't ready to let go. He's there kneeling over her body, just like, no, give me your love, all this sort of stuff. So for me, it was symbolising that very common way a relationship goes, where someone reaches the point that they don't want the relationship anymore before the other person. They get that closure. This person hasn't got that closure. This person just wants to fix it. This person, this one party is just still trying to rebuild because he wants to rebuild the house again. Stuff like that. That's what it shows at the end. So it's him trying to rebuild, fix what is already broken, dying, or dead. So that's the way I took this movie. He is still not at that point to give up on this relationship where she is. That's how I took that. Now, talking of things being dead, throughout this movie, Jennifer Lawrence's character is picturing this sort of beating heart. She touches the house, which I took as a symbol for the relationship. She is picturing this beating heart, and every time she sees this heart, it's a little more decayed, or you can see it slowly dying, getting smaller, getting more black, decaying. And for me, that was just a symbol of their relationship just sort of slowly dying, if you will, throughout this movie. It's just slowly dying. Her relationship, her love, slowly dying, slowly going away, getting less and less. So that's how I took that. I don't know how everyone else took the movie, but for me, it was just it was just a metaphor for a late relationship in a bittersweet way, just slowly coming to an end. That's how I took it. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about, I found was with the baby and the bloody hole that you get in the floorboards. Now, you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie, but if you haven't, you have no idea. But hey, stick around. But yeah, there's this bloody hole that keeps appearing in the floorboards. And for me, that hole, I felt, was just to show how not even having a baby would, or even attempting to start a family, would eventually fill the void that is already there. That's how I took it. Because especially nowadays, you get a lot of people that are stuck in a relationship that they just don't want to be alone, stuff like that. They've got this void inside them, but they feel comfortable. They don't want to be alone. So they think they can fill the void with a baby. They can fix the relationship by having a baby. That's how I took this. I took it that this hole is growing. This hole is not going away, even though she is now pregnant. Okay, so she has still got that part of her and the baby, no matter how happy they'll be as a family unit, is not filling that void. That's how I took that hole in the floor. So yeah, attempting to start a family, it is not going to fix a relationship that is inevitably doomed from the start. That's how I took that. Now, talking of the baby, yes, it does die in a very brutal way, if I'm honest with you, which was very uncomfortable. It was one of the more uncomfortable scenes. I mean, where it's being passed over the crowd, it was horrible, and the snap that you hear it was horrible. I did not. That scene was very, very uncomfortable. I did not like that scene at all. I mean, it was very, very tense, very uncomfortable. So it was a good scene. I did not enjoy it. So yeah, but the way I took that baby scene, the baby as a whole, in two ways. It was again showing that a baby can't fix what's already broken, and the other way I took it is that the baby's death was a representation of no matter how much life you sort of breathe into a relationship, no matter how much you give to this relationship, no matter how much love, life you want to breathe into a relationship, if it's not meant to be, the relationship is still going to die regardless. That's how I took the baby as a representation, that they're trying to bring life into this relationship. They're trying to fix it, and it's not working, and they're not ready to give up yet. So that, for me, again, like I said, this movie just is a metaphor for a doomed relationship. That's how I took this movie. So yeah, this is a very, very diverse movie. It can be interpreted in a number of ways, but the way I took it is it's actually just a metaphor for inevitably a doomed relationship that's not meant to work ending in a very bittersweet way, I guess. And for me, that interpretation made me really like the movie. Like I said earlier, if it is, and the director does come out and say that it's meant to symbolize God, Mother Nature, Earth, humanity, all of that, I don't think I'll enjoy this movie as much. But the way I experienced it, the interpretation I had, and now taking it all in, thinking about it, doing this sort of video for you guys has made me appreciate this movie and my experience with this movie a lot more, to the point that I actually really liked it. Because like I said, I came out of the cinema and I was like, I didn't know how I felt. Now, I actually really appreciate this movie for what it is and the experience it gave me. So I don't know how you all found the movie. I don't know how you took the ambiguous metaphor. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below, how you found this movie, your experience with the movie, the way you interpreted the movie. Let me know down in the comment section below. But I interpreted it as a doomed relationship from the start. That's how I took it anyways. But let's end this movie review, this interpretation spoiler heavy video on a lighter note, because we talked about a lot of sad stuff. So let's end it on a lighter note, shall we? Like another metaphor. If this was a metaphor about pregnancy being the most painful thing, then I am never complaining about being kicked in the nuts again. Hashtag woman power. I don't know how well that joke's going to go down. I just wanted to lighten the mood. Mother! So yeah, overall, this movie is a very long-winded, ambiguous, metaphorical movie that I feel will affect people in a lot of different ways. If it is the metaphor for God, all that sort of stuff, then I do not buy that, and I feel for me that will detract from my experience from the movie. But like I said, I interpreted it and connected with this movie on a whole different level to that metaphor. So the experience I had, I really bought into, I really ended up liking, because it just, I guess it says a lot about me, and it allowed me to have that connection with the movie. So in that way, I really, really liked this movie. So I would recommend you see this movie, because I don't know how it's going to affect you. You may have a completely different experience and interpretation to me, so let me know down in the comment section below. But like I said, it is a very ambiguous movie, and if you don't like ambiguous movies, you're probably not going to like this one. So again, weigh up how you feel about the movie. Like I said, the trailers have missold it, and it's going to be very, very down to you how you interpret it. So I don't know whether or not you will like this movie. It's all down to you as a person, as an individual. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts. It's very long-winded, very ambiguous, and like I said, if you don't like things to do with babies, don't see this movie. Just don't. Wow. So yeah, guys, that is my thoughts on Mother. They're my thoughts on Mother. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Like I said, I have seen American Assassin, so stay tuned for that movie review. Hit subscribe for that. And yes, next week, Monday, I will be doing a vlog for you guys. I'm going to see Scream Unseen. Now, I did vlog a Screen Unseen, which was Baby Driver, so go check that out. It'll be linked here and in the description below. But I'm going to my first ever Scream Unseen. Now, a lot of people have said it could be Flatliners. Other people are now coming out saying it could be The Ritual. So I don't know which one it's going to be, but I will vlog it and review it for you guys. So if you want to see that vlog movie review, hit subscribe, stay tuned for that. I'm excited for that one. Like I said, I have got my birthday coming up. Boom! That many days, so I will be vlogging that for you guys. I think I'm going to go up London and have a bit of a toy hunt. So if you want to see that vlog, that sort of stuff, a bit more of an upbeat video than this one, then yeah, hit subscribe, stay tuned for that. And guys, as always, thanks for watching, and take care. See you later! Guess who's back again. Guys, a big thank you to watching the video. If you liked what you've seen and you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. And in the meantime, why not check out some of my other videos? You've got one here, you've got one there, and you've got one there. Guys, go check out those videos, hit subscribe, and see you in the next video.